He was winning lane in a very difficult lane matchup, and then just, again, the global snowball just equalized everything.
Yeah, it's true. Without a rumble, even. But we are going to get a champion selected. Not too much has changed here as we have a look over the bans. Lysandra and Jan are going to be taken away by Royal Club. They, of course, have first pick this time around. OMG going to be taking away the Azir and, of course, that Viger here as well.
And maybe just, well, of course, for his first few games in the LPL was playing the Kalista. Maybe just pick it away. If it's not banned through, pick it away and just ensure that Uzi's not able to pick up that champion.
Yeah, but as we go through, we'll see whether OMG changed things up for their final ban. Of course, Royal Club didn't. They're just going to go with that Kassadin ban here as well. Not wanting to first pick that one away, which I find quite interesting just because Kola has looked fantastic on that Kassadin in the past. But Hecarim going to be the final ban. Some respect for Kola there. As Royal Club now thinking about their first pick, and it is going to be the Kalista. Well is going to try his hands at that champion. And OMG now seeing what they want to do in response. Going actually having a bit of a giggle. Not entirely sure. I think Lovely may have made a joke about Rek'Sai. But he's going to be able to pick that one up yet again. There's still so many power picks left on this map. And Cloud, he's going to pick away that Thresh.
Definitely a lot more aggressive than the Nami choice that he had last game. I like picking away the Kalista. For one, you don't give Kalista to Uzi, so that's already a little mini victory in itself, not having to use a ban. But, well, when he came onto the LPL, we weren't sure why they were changing HYY. He came on, he was very convincing on the Kalista. And maybe not the power Kalista player that we've seen from Uzi, but still, it takes him away from the Graves. The Graves certainly wasn't working, so something different. At least a cause for optimism for Starhorn Royal Club fans.
Yeah, it's true. Insec actually hovering over the Nami here as well. Royal Club just looking to do exactly the same thing that OMG did to them in the last game.
It seemed to work for OMG.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, theoretically, on paper, pretty good idea. And we'll see whether it works out for them as Cool and Uzi now have their turn to pick. And Uzi, having just performed that fantastic display of Kalista, we'll see what he decides to go with here in this bottom side. Is it going to be the Vayne Papa Smithy?
The dream.
The dream indeed. We'll see whether it happens. Of course, Uzi not exactly having the most success with that champion this season of the LPL.
But it hasn't necessarily been losing OMG games. It's been a lot of games where he hasn't been the major factor. He's thinking about it, Atlas.
He's thinking about it. It is going to be the Graves for the longest hover here, but cool. He's going to be taking the ultimate skill matchup here as Uzi going to lock in that Graves.
And Zero also considering the Vayne as potentially a top laner. Zero and Uzi, of course, former lane mates. A lot of feeling between these two teams after the off-season role swap coming through. Sorry, roster swaps coming through. Considering some other options. Looking for a top laner and a jungler are the things they're looking for here. Starhorn Royal Club. I like the Graves pickup. It's definitely a lot more reliable than the Vayne. The Vayne would seem just a bridge too far. It's not a great matchup against Kalista at all. As we wait for the picks to start to come through. Nidalee's made the draft so late in the draft, actually. Been banned consistently today. And he talks about Rumble. You alluded to him.
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah, Cole are going to pick that one up in the top lane. Of course, the top lane is still being looked at here from OMG. They can take whatever they want into that matchup and go going. It's going to go back to the Nah here as well, just because they want that massive wombo. They want the tons of CC to come through from that Mega Nah and go going. Especially in the late game, just fantastic on that champion. And we'll see whether Kola can have the same dominating performance early that he had on that Hecarim. But so far, things changing up a lot here as far as these champion selects have gone. And Starhorn Royal Club, we'll see whether they can make this comp work.
Yeah, it's interesting coming through from Starhorn Royal Club. Of course, they get the Ahri on patch 5.2. Rumors have it that this is the end of 5.2 for competitive play in China. So this might be the last 5.2 Ahri that we see coming through.
Yeah.
The LeBlanc matchup's definitely a skill matchup. I think we remember the Rookie versus Cool matchup on this Ahri and LeBlanc. Cool's LeBlanc is a very scary thing. So even though it's a skill matchup, Cool on LeBlanc is so comfortable on that champion. A lot of the other picks coming through are going to be super interesting to me. I mean, you don't see necessarily the synergy between the Rumble and Nidalee especially. There isn't necessarily a lot of lockdown to help out the Rumble in a team fight. And the laning matchup, Nah, going to be very happy just chipping away with autos against that Rumble.
Yeah, just hanging out there in that top side. Of course, Rumble with a fair bit of kill potential and team fight potential in the mid game. But we'll see whether Royal Club can capitalize on it. As I'm just looking at this really cool... Oh, no, that pun was terrible. Really cool mid lane matchup here between LeBlanc and Ahri. Just because it's just the classic skill matchup. Both of these champions able to dance around a fight, having to get their skill shots out. Of course, that chain's needing to land for the extra damage. The Orb of Deception being very similar here as well on the side of Korn. And we saw Cool do fantastic things on that Ahri. We'll see whether Korn can do the same thing.
And what I want to see from Star World Cup is just reasons for optimism. Whether it's winning a lane, whether it's rotating well and picking up some early structures or some objectives. It's been a really bad week 7 for them.
Yeah,
as the pause has actually come through, so of course we're going to have to wait until it's just been a really terrible week 7 for them. You know, the first matchup against LGD was very one-sided. The first game here very one-sided. Just take the little advantage you can. If the roster swap comes next week, still going to take time for Name, of course, to warm up to his teammates. The rumors have been that they've been scrimming half of the time with Name and half of the time with their sub AD carry. So it's definitely not going to be a complete change for Royal Club, but it's going to be a big shift in identity. They haven't got a lot of wins on the board. They're not in playoff contention at the moment, but they're not that far away. So again, Korn and Cola, if they can have a strong laning phase, if the team can rotate early, if we see Insec on Nidalee, you can see the potential because Insec loves those innovative jungle picks. Try something different with the Nidalee. Maybe that'll be something that'll force a ban out in future series. Just set yourself up for future success because it's looking hard to pick up a series win here.
Yeah, it's looking difficult, but of course they do have tools to be able to get themselves ahead, and we'll see whether they can actually manage to make that one work because Sahorn Royal Club, they had a very good, arguably fantastic early start to the LPL, but ladies and gentlemen, we'll hop onto the Rift and see how they'll do. And here we are onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, with Starhorn Royal Club taking on OMG for the second time here. And we'll see whether Royal Club can fight back after that pretty disheartening first loss.
Yeah, Insect's jungle Nidalee sounds to me like something that should be terrifying. Of course, we've seen Spirit do so much work on Nidalee, even on a team struggling to the similar degree as Starhorn Royal Club. So we'll see they're going for a very aggressive early invade, just trying to look for some vision.
Yeah, and Royal Club actually, this is what they have to do. They have to, you know, pull out some interesting tactics, change things up, and really try to get themselves ahead in any way they can. Loveling on the map looks like he's in an interesting position, but Royal Club, they're all going to be backing. They've managed to get the wards out here as well, and I think that Royal Club are looking for some sort of lane swap because, of course, last time, having the standard lanes didn't necessarily work out.
No, they definitely didn't. They want to get, well, as far away as possible from Uzi. Even though it's a reverse of the matchup, Uzi, we've seen his Graves once already this season, looked very comfortable on that champion, just like Imp, as equally as adept on the Callistas of the world as he is on the Graves.
Yeah, Loveling actually hanging out down on this bottom side as well as Cloud and Uzi might be looking to set something up. You can see Royal Club are moving that bottom lane towards the top side, so it seems like this lane swap is going to come through here, and that is a good start for Royal Club, trying to get this Callista to a point where she can succeed.
Absolutely. Pick up a bit of attack speed, be able to dash away through more use of the passive and get away from the Graves buckshot. After a few levels, going to be a better matchup, but he's going for the full Metal Gear experience and trying to sap some experience.
Actually starting the backs here as well. Well, hasn't actually spotted him out as Insec. Oh, did he just show himself? He did. Going now in a lot of trouble. You don't walk out of the brush there, buddy. There's the Ren to come down as well. Going finally using that flash. Maybe a little bit soon on the Ren, but they had to get the slow.
But look, at the end of the day, he did pick up a little bit of experience. Not worth the flash trade for sure. He'd actually already skilled the boomerang toss, so was in a terrible spot in terms of mobility. He's going to stay in lane. He used one of his potions, gone the longsword, so he actually does have enough sustain to get to full health, but quite squishy.
Yeah, could be a little bit of a worry. Uzi just hanging out here in this lane on his own as Loveling going to be jungling in the enemy jungle. A little bit standard stuff here for Loveling, and as he's on this Rek'Sai, pretty comfortable just farming out wave after wave. Cola just following Insec around. Both of these top laner and jungler can be getting to their level 2 relatively quickly. Opting to just try and soak as much experience as he can, not going for that buddy system in the jungle.
quite amusing, but the jungle follow for Rumble is actually fantastic in this situation. Usually people shy away from it because, of course, you don't do a lot of damage to those neutral camps unless you overheat, you know, especially the Flame Splitter at level 1, not doing a lot of help. But Nidalee does so much damage to the jungle, especially on patch 5.2 when she gets to reset on her Cougar abilities whenever she gets the Hunted debuff, that's actually able to power farm and get quite a lot of experience in the jungle.
Yeah, Cool actually able to use his distortion in order to just get straight back into lane and continue farming here as the two-man gang squad did come through. But Zero not able to find that Aqua Prison. Pretty difficult to lock down a LeBlanc. And well, just happy to tank up these creeps here a little bit.
Wants to begin the freeze, but Cloud is coming to the lane to give a little bit of help. Only level 1. Surprisingly, quite a lot of health, but only level 1.
Yeah, it does have a couple of wards here as well, so he's going to be able to provide some vision up in the top side for OMG, but wants to be able to just soak up some experience now and at least get a couple more abilities under his belt. Kohler and Insect now paying a visit to Uzi on this bottom side, who had a very hard freeze. They're just going to chuck this one into the turret. Uzi even going to take a spear for it as well, and these caster creeps not actually making it towards the turret here as well as Kohler. Going to get very far forward.
It's actually a very important gank, you know, pseudo gank coming through from Inset, because just pushing the wave, helping the lane reset, that's actually a massive piece of help for Kohler's laning. It's just deceptively strong maneuver coming through from Star Royal Club.
Yeah, there's the passive coming through from the Sentinel here as well from Well as the Wallop not going to find the Kalista, which is the target of choice here at the same time. There's the Ignite, the Render come through, and first blood goes to Zero of all people.
Yeah, not ideal, doesn't go to Well, but it's still Well's lane that picks up the first one. That's massive for Starhan Royal Club. Look, they threw a curveball by winning that semi-final against OMG. It's still unlikely here, and Kohler has to flash away.
Yeah, forced to use that flash, but doesn't get knocked up by the Unburrow, which is definitely the thing that Loveling was looking for. Had that flash available, could have counter-flashed there, but decides to hold on to his Summoner spell and just make sure that Uzi can continue farming in this bottom lane.
Still, this is what we talked about. We want to see a curveball. We want to see something to be happy about. They got the first blood. They've managed to navigate well into a safer lane against Go-Going. OMG overextending, allowing the first blood to come through. That's something for Starhan Royal Club to build upon. They're ahead in gold. Again, we're talking about minuscule advantages at 5 minutes. But remember how different this other game that we just watched was at the same point.
Yeah, well, it's true. And it's looking like Kalista seems to be the pick of choice here for both of these teams. Well, actually playing fantastically thus far. I mean, it's not often that you manage to get a 2v2 kill, and it seems it's happened for First Blood both of these games. Well, actually not for First Blood, but it's happened.
The Kalista's been very on point this week of the LPL. Of course, Imp struggled with that pick, and Imp and PYO, especially on LGD, struggled to find identity on that Kalista pick. But with the builds shifting, you know, we've seen Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, single target builds, and also the Ren-centric Hurricane builds. It's very nice. Bubble coming through from Zero. Go-Going, he's not having a lot of fun in this lane.
Yeah, Zero actually having a bit of a giggle here as well. So, showing some manners. Go-Going just going to pop some potions and chill out. He's going to be A-OK. 24 CS to 10 as far as this top lane matchup is concerned. Uzi doing a great job stopping Kohler from being able to get anything in this lane. Go-Going, of course, teleported back to his top side, but Kohler hasn't taken his. His Death Sentence actually going to land on a Kohler here. Uzi gets a point-blank buckshot, and Kohler is most definitely dead, and the collateral damage was even available because Uzi somehow level 6.
Not often you say that both supports have the kills for their teams. Very bloodthirsty support play. Cloud stood in a pinked ward brush for about a minute 30, then escaped and outside with the flash Death Sentence. They pick up the kill. Things are going well across the map for both teams.
Yeah, managing to pick up these kills. Of course, OMG getting a sneaky gank there onto Kohler on the bottom side. And with his flash down, it has to be something that is in the back of your mind. OMG sort of just capitalizing on the fact that that Summoner spell was down. Kohler did a good job sort of knowing that he was dead, trying to get as much damage down. Another Aqua Prison to land here in this top side as well. Royal Club are just continuing to put pressure on, and they're now starting to push this wave into the turret.
But you can kind of see the difference between both AD carries in terms of laning. One of Uzi's greatest strengths as a player is the ability to hold lanes and balance harass with this last hitting. And he's been able to hold the bottom lane so well on the Graves. The difference in the CS, 12 CS to 33, is a massive difference as the double bubble stops OMG from rotating aggressively for any sort of pick. But Uzi, he's not giving Rumble a CS whenever he has the opportunity to deny those.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Uzi was always famed for as well, as challenging people to CS, and that's against a ranged champion, and this is now a Rumble, one of the hardest champions to last hit on in the game, you have to think.
Still going aggressive. You can see Cola happy to take these trades. He's happy to tank up the minions because he knows that with the level advantage and almost has the collateral damage up and both his summoners, he has significant kill pressure on Cola.
Yeah, Cola now managing to get a couple with those harpoons, but when you're relegated to farming with that skill only, you have to think that things are looking pretty bad as Cloud going to come through, lands the death sentence here at the same time, and there's all the CC to come down. Collateral damage easily going to be enough to secure another kill for Uzi.
It's all the lane control. Excellent rotation coming through from Cloud, but Uzi, this is what he does. And that's why I don't understand. Why don't we see the Caitlyn from Uzi? He's so good, and even in a 2v2 situation at executing those sort of plays. But in a 1v1 or a 1v0, he holds waves. He's excellent at harassing. And Cola, it's 2 deaths now. He's going to have his flash soon, but don't know how much it'll help him.
Yeah, it seems like the focus always seems to be on the lane that Uzi is in, making sure that he can get ahead. He can be the carry for his team. You can see he's only ahead by a few CS. The extra assist doing some work here for Well at the same time. But the Dragon, of course, having the duo lane here on the bottom side. Top lane outer turret is going to fall down, but Loveling has an opportunity to go for something. Cola gets picked off in transition, and Uzi's there again. The smoke screen comes down. Insect does manage to get the Primal Surge down, and there's some pounces here as well. Cloud, is the takedown going to be enough? The heal comes through, and Insect is probably going to go down. Does pick up the takedown kill, and he's pouncing away from this one. There's another Primal Surge. Is Zero going to be able to come through and actually get the work done here as Uzi, he's being pressured out. Another beautiful Aqua Prison.
Yeah, the use of the skill shots is very on point from Zero, but they have to respond to the pressure coming through. That's a lot of damage.
That's a beautiful spear to come down. Korn just drive-bys onto Uzi. And Zero comes through. Oh, Fate's Call saves his life there. He's going to have to chill out in that ultimate for as long as possible as the Ignite was ticking, but it's not going to be enough. Ebb and Flow just keeps him alive.
Yeah, the disengage Fate's Call is very underrated as a skill. It's often pigeonholed Fate's Call as an offensive tool for the Annies of the world, for the Threshers of the world, but for disengaged supports, the ability to position so aggressively in a fight, then be repositioned defensively. The flexibility of that ability is so strong, and it was wonderfully used by Well and Zero.
Absolutely fantastic, and of course Zero holding onto it as well because that Ignite would have killed him as Korn had to put that one on him, but holding onto it, making sure that he soaked as much of that summoner spell as possible and survived, no problem.
Survived, no problem. And look, Starhome Royal Club are surviving this early game. 11 minutes in. The last game was already looking decided, but it's actually very close. Only 300 gold between the two teams. Well is farmed. He's not been pigeonholed into an emergency pickaxe brutalizer build that he's consistently been relegated to on Graves. And now in a 2v2, it's definitely not the walkover that it was in the previous game.
Yeah, and Well actually playing with a lot of confidence here as well, leaping forward into Uzi's face. Not sort of playing with the same amount of hesitation that they were forced to in the last match. And it's really great to see, of course, not phasing him. Still keeping his head in this one. And cool. Cheating towards this bottom side. Of course, there is a pink ward in that brush. He is going to be spotted out heading towards the Royal Club bottom lane. And Zero and Well going to be forced to play a little bit further back as this pink ward does die. Ooh, Korn. Spot Cool out hanging around this pink ward. But he's just going to head back towards that mid lane. And now Zero and Well can hang out. Ooh, misses the pierce there, just a little bit frustratingly onto that creep, but Wave is going to start pushing in, and Well, he's going to be able to farm just fine. Ooh, Foxfire. Ooh, Charm not going to land here onto Cool. There's the Insect. Cheeky spear from the side. He's going to head back as Well's playing so far up.
You definitely see the difference in jungle pressure that Insect can put out on a champion like Nidalee, who can power farm, who still has a lot of high damage ganks and can be able to pressure the enemy. It's almost night and day, and this is Insect like we haven't seen him aside from that one Hecarim game. Of course, that was more the ability to farm from the jungle than teleport to be relevant. But his pathing on Nidalee, just like the best Nidalees in the league, like Dandy and, for example, Spirit, has been very on point this game.
Yeah, and as far as the kill distribution, and more importantly, the death distribution coming through here for both of these teams, it actually looks fine here for Royal Club, because Cola, I mean, he can just be an equalizer bot, and he's fantastic at using that ability. Whereas on the other side, you know, they've got like 1-0-1 here for Nidalee, who can now farm even better in that jungle. We've got the Morellonomicon completed here for Korn, who's 1-0-0. 0-0-1 here for Well as well. And things are actually looking pretty good.
I mean, if you could choose one person to be held down in terms of resources, you know, maybe not in terms of levels, but definitely in terms of gold. I mean, there's no one with a lower floor to be relevant, a lower like gold requirement to be relevant in a team fight than Rumble, of course. You know, just the 2,600 gold for the double magic penetration items. Okay, he's still working towards those, but he's got the equalizer now. He's the only person who's died on his team, and everyone else, okay, maybe it's not ideal that Well doesn't have one of the kills, but everyone doing fine.
Yeah, it's looking okay here for Royal Club, and we'll see whether they can make something happen at potentially the next Dragon, which is going to be coming up relatively soon. Of course, OMG managing to sneak that one away. Loveling just soloing it out. You can see Uzi, he's gone back. He's picked up his Infinity Edge as his first item. No cheeky Bloodthirsters to come through. No sort of flavors of Vasily here to come down. Uzi just wanting that flat damage and wanting it now.
Absolutely, and this is the same thing that he did last time he played Graves. Makes sense, you know, he's not the sort of player that wants to rotate and pick up turrets. They're not looking to play the rotational game. Even though he's on a mid-game carry, might as well set himself up for late-game damage.
Yeah, that's right. Ooh. Korn actually going to hang around here. Nice spear from Insec as well. Has that Magus enchantment. Also has the tier stacking up as well. Not getting the early tier. Made sure that he finished his jungle item before that one came through. So no cheeky business to come down. Dandy-esque type stuff. But he is going to have that one stacking very quickly, of course. The Cougar form ability stacking it up makes it very easy.
I mean, the only hole in the early game from Star Royal Club is the fact that they didn't pick up the first Dragon. You know, Jungle Nidalee can solo it so early in the game. Korn actually goes so aggressive in the mid lane off screen. Actually flashed to try and get the charm on Cool. Cool doesn't even have to return the flash himself. Without that summoner available, and now without the mobility of the ultimate, Korn actually is overextended and received nothing from it.
Yeah, actually, the flash wasn't even available from Cool, unfortunately. Has just come up now, so now has the ability to flash himself out of that one if he wants to. Is going to use it in order to get out of the way of that spear. And that was probably necessary because Insec, you knew that he was going in.
No, good job from Insec to at least pressure out the summoner and cause the summoner trade, and both mid laners now without flash. Of course, with a lot shorter cooldown dash is cool, but yeah. It matches the flashes nonetheless.
Well, it's true. Both Cool and Korn having sort of those dashing abilities. Having that on an ultimate makes it not quite as great for Korn, but he can use it in such quick succession in those engagements.
You can't really argue. This is 5.2 hour. You can just fly to lane. You see them using Q in the base happily to just walk to lane faster. Ari's still very, very strong.
Yeah, incredible champion. And still is, actually, now that we're 5.4. Ari still very, very strong. Just not quite as dominant as she is on this patch. OMG now with the complete Dragon control, going to continue that one as the box is just put on to zone out the members of Royal Club. It's now down to half health here as Cool. He's waiting in the wings, looking to try and pick something up. He's going to take down that Pink Warden with exclusive vision. It's an easy Dragon.
Yeah, the Fate's Call was actually used because the Death Sentence did come through onto Zero. He lives through the exchange. They use the Fate's Call. They just donate the second Dragon. Not ideal for Star Royal Club, but again, it's the smallest of their problems. They're doing fine. They do have the turret advantage.
They do. Uzi now going to be clearing out these minions underneath the turret, and you have to think that he probably wants to wait until he's got a little bit more crit, make use of that Infinity Edge a little bit more, but he's continued his dominance as far as this CS is concerned. Well, decided to go for a few different items, just picking up some stuff by the looks of things. He's got that recurve bow going towards that Hurricane, but he's also got the makings of that Bloodthirster as well, and we'll see when he hits that 2-item power spike, because it is huge when they come through here on Callisto. And we saw Uzi trying something different with the Phantom Dancer Blade of the Ruined King, and well, he's going for the AoE build.
I just feel like the pigeonholing himself between two strong items is probably going to be Bloodthirster Hurricane. You'd have to expect with the
could have been a Wit's End.
Yeah, I mean, there's that potential for their Atlas, but let's just stay with the meta choices and expect the Hurricane and the Bloodthirster coming through. The issue is, though, if you just have those parts against an Infinity Edge and then Dragon comes up, you just can't contest for it because you don't have the potential for the Ren set. You don't necessarily have the extra sustain and shield coming through, the defensive options of the Bloodthirster. With neither, when you split the focus, you want to stay in lane. So OMG, what do they say? Let's take the Dragon.
Yeah, it's true, and they do pick that one up. Actually, Cloud getting tidal waved by Zero here. He just wants to put on as much hurt as he can. Cool actually getting Spirit Rushed at here from Korn, who's looking for the Charm. Oh my goodness. That Dark Passage was fantastic. The Charm trying to chase Cool down, but just not quite fast enough. Ooh, well actually forced to jump around. There's the flash into the Unburrow here as well, as he's trying to dance away. Dodges out of the way of the collateral damage here as well. The flash forward from Uzi, though, might spell his death as Martial Poise not enough for just Graves walking at you.
Yeah, 20% critical strike. Didn't get it the first few times. The last one crit, took out the last 450 health. And all the Chaos Star on Royal Club, they take the last of the outer turrets, I believe. All 3 outer turrets down. That's still a big strategic win for Star on Royal Club. It's not turrets, but it's something.
Well, it's true, and I mean...
It's not dragon, but it's something.
Yeah, ain't no dragon. Ain't nothing but a thing, Papa Smithy. There's 3 to 4 now in kills. We've got very even as far as the gold is concerned, and Insect still able to throw out all of these spears. Has noticed that there's quite a lot of wards here in this rush as well. As the spear going to land, the charm as well as Going has to get out. Of course, has a lot of rage left in his Narbar. As Uzi going to take down the first outer turret of the game in the bottom side. OMG are going to fade away from this outer turret in the mid lane. Of course, their personal favorite turret in the game.
It is impressive that despite they have the global gold advantage with 3 turrets to 1, OMG is still ahead in gold at this point.
Have you looked at the top lane?
That's, I believe the word is landslide advantage coming through for Going. 144 CS to 59. Literally the whole gold lead is basically on his shoulders. He's 1,200 gold ahead just from CS.
Yep, and also 2 levels here as well. Cola sort of not able to stand up whatsoever. 1,200 gold.
Cola just says, please, can we team fight? I'll hit my equalizer, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. He does have the Sorcerer's Shoes and, of course, that Haunting Guise. He is team fight ready, Papa Smithy.
You do with some levels.
Yeah, he could also do with his Zonya's Hourglass and maybe avoid stuff as well. So he's got aspirations, ladies and gentlemen. He really wants to be getting some more of this money.
It's nice to have dreams, Atlas.
Is it, though? Because Huey seems to replace him every single time. Yeah, Insect is going to be able to lock away that red buff as well as Cloud came around for a bit of a look in. Korn hanging out on this bottom side, just having a bit of a split push, pushing out this wave as Loveling and Cool heading down here as well. But Tremorsense going to spot Korn, but going to have his tunnels removed for it.
Like out of nowhere, Uzi has a massive burst in damage coming through with the static shift.
Yeah.
So he's definitely combat ready. No Scimitar armor whatsoever as Loveling hits a charm, has a bit of love bubbles around his head as he hits that Orb of Deception as well. A lot of damage coming through from Uzi, deceptively high damage coming through with his very efficient early pickups.
Yeah, not to mention the massive burst damage as well. That's all up front with this Graves. Collateral damage and buckshot. Oh my gosh, Cool coming through from the side. Actually takes a lot of poke for it. As Uzi just going to clear out this wave as quickly as possible. And Royal Club now sitting back. And is this what their comp wants to do? Do they want to be poking through? 0 on the disengage. Oh, or the engage with, there's the equalizer and the tidal wave. Beautiful play. The Mimic gets destroyed. That's not really the target that they want, though.
That's 25 gold.
Yeah. That's a win. Lock it in.
Insect still has a lot of mana, so he's able to poke with the spears. They're doing quite a lot of damage at this point. But OMG, they're going to be able to harass up. I mean, Cola, he just needs levels. He needs the level 11 desperately. We've already mentioned they don't have the setup CC to lock down people through the equalizer. It's just going to be tickling at this point. So they really need to rotate him into an open lane. To be honest, though, you look at this, the way the mini waves are pushing, there's nowhere really for him to farm.
No. He'd hop into that jungle, but of course, not the greatest jungler.
Even with the skin?
Oh, actually, yeah, he is rumbling the jungle, so I take it all back. Probably should hop into that jungle. Oh my goodness, the QR combo underwell there from Cool. Just able to get right into that backline and get some damage down. Of course, so not going to have kill pressure, but very low. So
it's over 100 now between Going and Cola. As Going finds a wave and happily, gleefully, you just know Cola's sitting somewhere just going...
He's just making the same sounds that Nara is making, like, you know, just happily smacking away at that wave. No worries at all. Ooh. Cute little distortion play there, dodges out of the way of the charm, and Korn has been pretty good on this Ari, you have to say. I mean, managing to pick up that kill earlier on, but so far, Cool just able to farm out his waves over and over again. Got no worries at all. Has that Morellonomicon, almost has the Abyssal Scepter, which has been completed from corners. Just going to get obliterated. The Ignite there flashes out of the way as Cloud, he gets the play. Beautiful flash to come through. And they take the dragon at the same time. OMG picking up victories across the map.
Poetry in motion from OMG. I love the play. It was just so beautiful from Cloud and Cool. They try to get another pick in the mid. They can't do it as Cola. He finally finds some minions. Really hopes they'll hit the turret soon. But OMG, they're not going to give him a chance, are they?
Oh my goodness. Cloud once again finds him. The dark passages there. It gets Cool in, and Cola's had a horrible time this game.
I'm worried about Cola overheating in real life.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Of course, these are professionals, Papa Smithy. He's not going to do that. But, man, if I was to look at that CS score that Going's managed to pick up for himself, I'd be like, team, I need to do stuff. Oh, Nah onto Insec into the wall. He was there for a second. He's dead now. So OMG continue the pressure, and he probably just thought that, yeah, they're bound to have gone back now, but not going to happen.
Insec has a death cap. He has so much ability power completed. With the tier, it's stacking up. I'll have to have a look. 650 stacks. When the Seraphs comes through, it's going to be a lot of damage, but again, Cola doesn't really do very much.
No, he doesn't, but we can talk about the Haunting Guy Sorcerer's Shoes. He's now managed to pick up that arm guard as well. As Uzi just going to clear out this wave in mid, and OMG just starting the stranglehold on this game. Maybe a little bit later than they did in the last game. It is already 23 minutes in, and by this stage, they basically won the previous matchup. Korn going to use that Spirit Rush, which is thankfully back up off cooldown in order to save himself from the onslaught of OMG. As Uzi just going to quick draw away and take a Dark Passage to safety.
I mean, just to reiterate your point, there's a lot to like about Star World Club's early gameplay here. They picked stronger lanes apart from the Cola Rumble. They played aggressively. They got some advantage. They were the first to pick up the 3 outer turrets. And at this point, that's something. The game was always going to be very difficult for them to pick up a win. But the pressure started from OMG. They finally started to convert their early CS advantage into obvious grouping advantages. Rumble still desperate to find a CS somewhere, still under 70 as Gogoing finds plenty.
Yeah, Gogoing's having no troubles here at all, and he's about to quadruple the farm. I think we should stop doing the mathematics on this one because it's just really not working out. It's just OMG having such a strangle, and the fact that the lane swap worked out so much better for Gogoing, who has the range, has the ability to just farm out these waves very comfortably, and Rumble just doesn't like the lane swap at all.
I mean, look, Rumble is decent in the lane swap, but, you know, you're against Uzi on Grey as someone who's a player who's fantastic at zoning enemy carries, let alone just in a 2v1 or an implied 2v1 situation against the Rumble. Uzi played on form, and then when the lane swap started to happen, OMG rotated members, stopped Rumble from ever having what was not necessarily a comfortable laning matchup against Nah, but one that he could potentially survive. Cole's finally managed to lap up enough experience to have level 11, so at least the equalizer suddenly becomes, again, teamfight relevant. But in terms of true relevancy of being able to get into the backline, don't think that's ever going to happen this game for Cola.
Yeah, no, it's not looking too great. But of course, he could just go... Should this be when he decides, I just want to finish off this Leandries, make sure that the equalizer's doing as much as it can?
I think that's what you do. If you hit the perfect equalizer, anything's possible. The base damage and the Leandries burn will do a lot, although there isn't a lot of health stacking coming down. Of course, it'll do a lot of damage to Rek'Sai, who's now built health and armor, but no magic resist. But again, I think that's the best you can hope for. Like, unfortunately, the Zonies is just too much of a purchase. He's sitting on about 1,000 gold. Realistically, I don't know if he'll get another 1,100 gold for about another 20 minutes of the game, it feels like. So
yeah,
maybe just go for what you can get.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Uzi actually going to quick draw forward here. Does land on a trap, but Gogoing, he's just going to keep split pushing this game as Cola tries his very best to pick up some farm. Has picked up another 12 now.
And Gogoing bought a Trinity Force.
Yep. Okay. Well, you may as well. When you're that much golden farm ahead.
The interesting thing is it basically stops. Oh my goodness, we're seeing a fight in the mid.
Yeah, there's Korn actually leaping around this fight. The Ignite's onto Uzi, who's hanging out in the back line, waiting until he can re-engage on this one as well. He's got the shield from that Bloodthirster. He's definitely at a stage where he can fight as Cool jumps in, does land a chain, just pokes Zero as the Boomerang comes through and slows well down just a little bit. Cool actually in the enemy base. He might distort back, though, you have to think. Yeah.
The thing about the Trinity Force, it just makes him win harder in a 1v1. Okay, it's not teamfight tankiness stats, but it just makes him harass and just hold down Cole that much more. So I don't mind the pick up at all. Already see a really strong frontline tank coming through from Rek'Sai, but the fight's on.
Yeah, there's the equalizer. Not really going to land onto too many champions, but clears out all the minions. Cool, though. He gets charmed, and he's going to fall down. Well picks up that one. Cool. Royal Club, they take advantage of an OMG or overextending just a little.
Cool distorted so many times in Flash that I think he lost track of where his first Shadow was, or his first Mimic was. Died anyway in the assortment of AoE. They don't quite get to the turret. It's so low. It's sitting on about 240 health, but of course regenerating. And Starhorn Royal Club, is it emergency Baron time?
Oh, it definitely is. There is a ward here, but of course, Insect does a heck of a lot of damage, and they've got a Callista. They can rend down this Baron. There's not a large likelihood that Loveling is going to be able to pick that one up. You can see all the spears coming through the face of this Baron, down to about 2,000 health. And the Ren goes down. The steal from Loveling as Royal Club now just incredibly upset. They punish him for it. Uzi's going to die here at the same time, but Cloud is going to get Korn on the backside. It's a 2 for 2 so far, but Cloud, you are most definitely dead. Going is trying to lock down Well, and well, this isn't a super tank Gnar. This is a mini Gnar that can crush you, especially when he turns Mega, because that Trinity Force is doing some work, and that 1v1 didn't work out for the Callista as she thought.
With the Warden's Mail and just the health from the Banshee, actually just pinged level 16. Going is a monster. There's no other way to describe him. I realize he's also in Mega Gnar form. He looks very scary, but it's just the items that make him that, okay, his model's quite large, but even as the little Teemo-like mini Gnar, still very scary.
Super scary. Cool going to be able to take down the inhibitor turret in the mid lane. Going to continue the pressure in this top side. Actually going to head on over and use that Trinity Force proc in order to get down this inhibitor as well. And that Baron, it was... what? Okay, Insect was there. Cool. Made sure that that was no longer correct. Going to head forward here as well. The Hyper proc onto Cola. Does have a needlessly large rod here as well as Korn. Not going to find... Oh, actually finds it onto Cool. But look at these creeps. The Baroned up minions now heading into the base of Royal Club. And, well, trying to do what he can in order to convince OMG to leave the base. The fourth dragon going to fall down, of course, unanswered by Royal Club. And Uzi going to take away a blue buff here as well. Going, returns to his top lane. Does really like that lane.
I mean, they just, unfortunately, it's the full court press once again. Okay, the minions in the bottom lane aren't supporting it, but in top and mid especially, so much pressure coming down Star Royal Cup. The only real safe minions they can farm are the ones hitting their Nexus turrets, but the Equalizer doesn't do a lot of damage to the bound up minions.
No, the melee one's actually walking through that one unhindered. The Siege minion in the back still smacking down on this turret. Orbit Deception's going to deal with it. And the Spears not quite finding their marks. The distortions over the wall constantly here from Cool, who has a lot of cooldown reduction with that Morellonomicon. And OMG now looking to press forward into this base. You can see the Ren's actually able to clear out these waves pretty quickly. Well, might be able to get some work done as far as clearing out some waves are concerned. And Royal Club hanging on at this stage. So you have to think, OMG, they're just pressing this advantage over and over again.
And the question we'll have to answer next week is, will plugging in a superior AD carry, an AD carry upgrade, finish some of the strategic holes that Starhorn Royal Club is? Because remember, Well's done fine this game. He's certainly not the man who's necessarily been the biggest issue, but Starhorn Royal Club, they've rolled down, and here we go!
Yeah, there's the gigantic Gnar into the Nexus here as well as Cole is going to incidentally die to Cool. Well trying to do some work, but Uzi's found him. Just shoots him in the face. The spears and the charms are landing, but the Nexus turrets are falling down for Royal Club. And OMG, it took them a little longer this time, but they're going to push through and potentially win this game right here.
Yeah, they need a minion wave to finish off the thing, but Nidalee takes a lot of damage. Uzi goes for a fun ride, and so do OMG. 3 points for them today. Starhorn Royal Club, they're very excited about Week 8 and the potential of that upgraded AD carry, but no points for them today at all.
Yeah, Name, who they've been practicing with, is potentially going to be coming through next week. But, well, he did fine that game, and there seems to be a whole lot of more patches here for Starhorn Royal Club to work on. And I think it has a lot to do with morale at this stage because they want to have their lineup that they want to take to the playoffs. They want to have that lineup that they're used to. And some giggles there coming through as these players are shaking hands. And OMG, that was just pretty... yeah, decisive.
Definitely a gleeful reunion with his old teammates. Maybe not the same story for the Starhorn Royal Club members, although Zero seemed very happy to see Uzi. So there's that.
Yeah. And, well. That does bring us to the end, ladies and gentlemen, of our week of LPL. I have to admit, I'm a little bit gobsmacked by that performance from OMG, really showing... Royal Club who was boss. But on behalf of myself, ladies and gentlemen, Papa Smithy here, and of course Pastry Time and Spawn who are on the desk, and our lovely production crew, thank you